Welcome back. Happy New Year. It's always great to be home in the holidays to celebrate with my family back in Wisconsin. Badgers won the Orange Bowl. Somebody told me that it was colder one day in Wisconsin than it was on Mars that day. So it's pretty good. You must say, right? So, but I got to tell you, what was exciting about being home for the holidays is just people just stopping us wherever Jen and I would go in restaurants, in the street, at ball games, about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, how it's helping them, how it's helping their families, how it's helping the businesses they work at or the businesses that they own. The numbers, they're really impressive. In just a few short weeks, as Kevin mentioned, corporations have announced over $1 billion in bonuses and more than $1.5 billion reinvested in the U.S. economy. One company said $50 billion over 5 years reinvestment in America, which is going to help their workers, which is going to help them expand. The numbers don't even include what smaller companies are doing and how folks will be helped by the individual tax rate cut, what they see when their paychecks get bigger this year. The stories we hear are just countless. Steve mentioned a couple of them. I can talk about some butchers and everybody else in between. There are people who are just coming up to us saying, this is working, I'm getting bigger paychecks, I got a bonus, or I'm expanding my small business, I'm going to hire more people. So that is exciting. Tax reform is boosting the economy, it's creating jobs, it is raising wages. In other words, it is actually helping people, and that's why we are here. It's renewed optimism. It's telling people that this economy is here to grow. So that's what's exciting. This is why we're here. But we're not going to stop there. As we kick off a new session, we want to build on this optimism, and we want to make sure that we get more done for the American people. We've got a lot on our agenda. We talked about these things at Camp David. And one of the things that we know we achieved with regulatory relief and historic tax reform is we're getting the economy growing faster. But there are tens of millions of Americans who are still slipping through the cracks. There are a lot of people in this country that aren't being counted in those unemployment statistics. We have got to pull them off the sidelines and get them back in the game. We've got more work to do to work on people, getting them the skills they need so they can get the careers that they want, so they can get the lives that they deserve. That's what the promise of this economy in this country offers. And so that is going to be one of our big focuses this year, is making sure that we close that skills gap, close that opportunity gap, and get people off the sidelines and back in the game so that they can make the American dream for themselves as they define it. That's something we're really excited about. We're also going to be focusing on our military. You've heard us talk about this over and over again. Brad Wenstrup and others here on Armed Services can give you chapter and verse on how dire the need is to improve our military, improve their readiness, give our warfighters the resources they need, the training resources they need. That is one of the things we ran on in our Better Way agenda. That is going to be one of our primary focuses this year, is getting the men and women in the military the resources that they need, and getting General Mattis the budget he needs to begin the hard work of rebuilding our military. So that's something you're going to see us do, and that's something that we're working with our friends in the House and the Senate on a bipartisan basis. We've got a lot to do this year. We're excited about the work. We've got more work and more successes to build on, and that's why we're excited about coming back for a great 2018. Questions?
Would you put an immigration bill on the floor if the combination DACA, border security, whatever compromise that can be worked out?
We're having conversations. I already know where you're going. Just kidding.
Would you put a bill on the floor that doesn't have the support of the majority?
Oh, I'm not going to negotiate with the media on such things. What we want to do is we want to have a DACA compromise. We want to make sure that the DACA problem is solved. But as you've heard me say time and again, this has to be balanced so that we don't have a DACA problem 5-10 years down the road. So while we deal with this DACA issue, which does need to be dealt with, and we agree with that, we want to make sure that we have the right kind of interior and border enforcement so that we don't have another DACA problem down the road. The president is inviting Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate today down at the White House to advance this issue. We're hopeful and confident that these bipartisan talks will bear fruit, and it has to be a good, balanced package, and we do want to see a solution on that. Andy.
Do you accept the premise that you won't be able to sort through these budget issues that have been held over until you can figure out an agreement, a bipartisan agreement on immigration?
Well, I don't know if I accept any particular premise, only that we are having bipartisan conversations about all of these issues. We've got CHIP that's expiring. We're having good bipartisan conversations on that. We're having a bipartisan conversation about a cap agreement because there are things we want to address with a cap agreement, like the military, and there are other things like DACA. So we have deadlines. We understand these deadlines, and I think we're having good bipartisan conversations. I won't get into all the details of each one of these things, but there's a lot of work we have to do, and I think all of us from the House and the Senate, Republicans, Democrats know that we have to get working on these issues. Yeah.
On the topic of the
It's her right there. Sorry.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker. Given the deadline next Friday, if you cannot reach a deal on some of these longer-term issues, what's the current support level for a shorter-term?
I'm not going to get into the hypotheticals. I think we're having good, fruitful conversations with our members, and I'll just leave that. When I have more to report, I'll do it.
Last question.
Mr. Speaker, are earmarks making a comeback? And would they help with
Conversations are having a comeback. No, I think what you're talking about is the Rules Committee hearings. We've encouraged our members all along to talk about budget process reforms. Many of us have opinions on this issue, but I want our members to have conversations. We have members who are very frustrated with the Corps, the Army Corps of Engineers, and how the Army Corps of Engineers has not been up to snuff to getting its job done. And that is among the concerns that the Rules Committee is going to be having conversations about. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Steve.
Good job, sir.